Hello, this is Dr. Kritzer back with you in Introductory Survey Research, Unit 1, Part 2. And I'm going to talk about some of the fundamentals of survey research. And keep in mind that this is a process. And there are basically 6 steps in the area of survey research. And the first step is deciding, well, what is your survey going to be about? What is a problem that you might like to solve? And you consider that when you design your survey. Then you need to decide who is your sample. Who are you going to survey? Will it be consumers? Will it be people in your workplace? Will it be students? Who is going to make up your sample? Then we want to make the questions. And there's various ways to construct good survey questions, and this is something that we're going to get more deep into in the next unit. So we ask the questions, and then we analyze the data. And I'm going to show you in Unit 3 how we might want to analyze the data that we end up with from our survey. And then we're going to report the results. It'll show you various ways that we can effectively communicate those results. That would be in Unit 4. Now, consider that survey research is a good way to get the opinions of a large group of people in a fairly quick, efficient manner. We can do medical research, educational research, political research, solve a business problem, and these are the strengths of survey research. But survey research can also have some weaknesses. It can be expensive to develop a good instrument and to adequately implement it. And oftentimes, when we do a survey, we don't get deep into the issue as to why certain issues evolve. And sometimes we might find that our respondents not only may not have an opinion, but they may actually think that we're looking for a politically correct response, and they may actually tell us the opposite of how they feel. So we got to be sensitive to that. And really, survey research is about asking questions about behaviors, questions about attitudes and opinions, people's knowledge of facts, and questions about people's beliefs, to really get a true understanding of how people think. And we can implement our survey various ways. We could do it by mail. We could have a web-based survey. We could interview a group of people. We could do a survey through email, or we could have individual interviews. But keep in mind that individual interviews are very time-consuming, and in that way could be very expensive. The format of the survey, we want it to be as short as to be effective. We'd like it to be attractive. We don't want people to have to squint. The font size should be comfortable. There should be space between questions. And if there's an open-ended question, we need to allow enough space for this person to answer the question. And also, we want to make sure that if it's a fairly lengthy survey, it's broken down into understandable sections. And if there's questions that need to be skipped, those directions need to be made quite clear. If you're going to mail your survey, it's best to include a self-addressed stamped envelope for them to return the survey. And remember, we don't just initiate a survey and hope that people participate. It often takes a couple of reminders to get people to participate in a survey. We consider an acceptable response rate somewhere around 70%. And we also need to understand that there are ethics involved in survey research, because in the past we've conducted experiments that haven't been ethical. We've withheld treatment of people who were sick. We've engaged in harsh treatments and harsh studies and not protected the rights of people. So we've got to be very careful that the rights of people are protected during survey research. And we respect the individuals who take these surveys. We allow them to choose whether or not they participate. Their participation must be voluntary. We must let them know it's voluntary. We must provide them with informed consent. In other words, they must understand what they're filling out. And they always have the right to protection, to privacy, to confidentiality, and if they decide not to participate, they have the right to change their mind. Well, I'm Dr. Kritzer. This is the end of Unit 1, and I will be back with you again for Unit 2.